Hey guys, this video is about my tailstock rebuild for my Delta Rockwell 11-inch lathe. This is the before shot as I purchased it. Um, I purchased a complete lathe. The lathe was in pretty poor condition. I decided that I would buy the entire lathe and use some of the parts for my other lathes, spare parts and such, and this item was one of those things. So now we're cutting over to this here section. This is where I started testing some paints. Originally I was watching some Brad Jacobs videos, and he was using the, I believe it was Sherwin-Williams, the Alkylate enamel paint, so I bought some of that from my South Bend lathe. And I figured I'd give it a shot. So I went ahead and I Mr. Muscle that tailstock. Wire wheeled it, scraped it, cleaned it, got it in its best clean condition that I could, and I went ahead and wiped it down with thinner, reducer, any kind of cleaner that I possibly could. And I must have done it 10 or 15 times, because every time I wipe it, I'd still end up with black crud on my rag and paper towel. So this Alkylate enamel, it went on very, very nicely. It went on nice and thick. Believe it or not, this is still wet. It's a low sheen paint, so it's going to dry flat. But in this picture, it went on spectacularly. I had great coverage. It wasn't fussy about adhering. I didn't have any runs. It was not a problem at all to paint this item. You could just tell looking at it. I will buy some more of this paint. I understand now after the fact that I can also put hardener in it, and I will get another quart that's a high gloss. I like this color. I think it's a great color. It has a little tinge to green in it if it's in the right light. So it's a really nice color, and if it's durable, then that's pretty fantastic. So I painted the tailstock. I painted the tailstock base. Took all the hardware off the oiler. Obviously, all the different shafts. Now we're coming to the Omni. This Omni brand. This is a catalyzed urethane, and my intention is to really use that to paint all of my machines that I want to keep, that I feel will last a long time. So this is a single stage urethane. It has a hardener. It was surprisingly expensive. I have been out of the paint game for a good 15 years, and the paint was quite a bit more than I thought it was. But it is what it is. We're spending so much money on it. So this item here, this is the cross feed support, and this was painted with the Omni. The Omni was quite a bit thinner as far as application. I did both of these items with a acid brush, believe it or not. This was a little bit more fussier as far as coverage. I had to mess with it a few times to get it to cover. After the fact, this dried quite quickly, whereas the tailstock here, this took a couple days to really have the paint set. But the support was done. About 3 hours later, I could practically touch it, whereas I couldn't touch the tailstock for at least 2 days. So getting back to the tailstock. Here I am actually cutting. I've decided to make the parts for the tailstock out of S7, and I'm doing that on my horizontal roll-in bandsaw, which is a really nice saw. This cut goes on for a little bit, so you might want to fast forward until the end of this particular segment. But the S7, it took a long time to cut, and it was, I think it's probably about a 3-inch diameter piece of tool still here. So what I did was I made the micrometer wheel and the bushings and everything that I was missing on the other lathe with the S7. And once I got it cut, it turned pretty easy on the lathe. I didn't have too much trouble with it. But you know, most of the time when I was originally machining years ago, most of my stuff was in aluminum. So I didn't have too much experience, or I still don't have too much experience with the various types of steels that are available. So here we're getting back to the lathe, and we're on the long bed Delta Rockwell 11, and at this point I have the micrometer stopped. It's bored out, and I actually had to put a knurl on it to kind of match the original. You can see the original there. At some point I may go ahead and engrave the numbers and the lines on this replacement part that I made. I'm not, not 100% sure that that'll get done, because it's not, for me, it's not too critical to know exactly how far I'm pushing the tailstock in. I always thought that at some point too, it might be more worthwhile to install a actual, like a digital micrometer onto the tailstock to see. I gotta say, the one thing that I'm not really thrilled about, and I don't think it's just the Delta Rockwell lathe, but there's only about 3 inches of travel on the tailstock. I really like Stefan Gottswinter's, where he kind of made like a lever operated tailstock, so he got quite a bit more throw. And as you can see here, this is what the micrometer is supposed to look like. It seems to be pretty handy. The outside is obviously 1/200,000th, and the inside actually has a piece of spring steel which keeps the outer wheel with the numerals on it. It keeps it from spinning independently of the rest of the tailstock. So here we go. This is the part that goes on, and you can actually see the piece of spring steel in there. That's my replacement part that I made. Actually, let me correct. That's from my other Delta Rockwell 11-inch. That is the spring steel that sits in a recess there that keeps tension, the outer wheel from spinning on the inner wheel. Now, looking at that tailstock, I think I have another one that I need to rebuild in the near future, or not rebuild, but at least strip down and paint. That's the tailstock that I've been working on before I painted it. And you can see the rear hand wheel is not appropriate. Later on in the video, you'll see that there needs to be a collar, and there needs to be a grub screw to hold it from spinning. Also, I did not have a broaching kit. I ordered a broaching kit. At this point in the video, I don't have that yet, but later on you'll see that I have it. And I was able to broach I believe it's a 3/16, or I'm sorry, 3/32 broach in the micrometer wheel.
Hey guys, we're back at the Bridgeport. We are working on the hand wheel for our Rockwell Delta 11-inch lathe. I was able to locate a hand wheel that will work on eBay, and I ordered it, got it. So a couple things I have to do is, number one, I have to enlarge the hole for the shaft. So that's going to be, I think it's 31/64. That is what it needs to be enlarged to. And then we have to install a keyway in it. So I have purchased a broaching tool. Waiting for that to come in. I have to broach the actual wheel, and I have to broach the that steel collar that I built. And then I guess we could kind of call it a day. I'll just be able to assemble it and be finished with this project. So we're going to go ahead and drill that hole now. I've installed the wheel on a set of parallels, and I centered it. I've locked the X and the Y axes. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the proper drill bit in. I have to lower the table a bit. I do not have my DRO set up yet, so it would be simpler just to lower the table rather than to move it and have to recalculate where the hole. I actually got to 0 for this by using this drill bit. Now I can go ahead and install the larger bit, and it will keep the same coordinates, and we should be able to drill this fairly easily. Okay. Looks like aluminum, so it shouldn't be such a big deal to drill. I apologize, it's actually cast iron, looks like. This drill bit may be old and dull. And I am through. I considered putting more cutting oil on it, but I think it's going to be easier to clean up without it. I'm just going to go ahead and vacuum it up. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull this off now and knock it out in the garbage. So, just so you guys know, I'm pretty happy. I actually bought some of the thin metal strips. So on my Kurt Weiss, I was able to cover up the Acme thread, because I was a little upset when I bought these vices used. I bought 2 of them, and when I got them, they were full of chips. So this was nice to go ahead and just cover that up and keep that Acme thread clean. So that's a big plus there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, and then I'm going to bring you over to the lathe and we'll do a test fit on this hand wheel. Alright guys, I just wanted to follow up. First off, I ran over to the lathe and I did put the hand wheel on, and the hand wheel did go on the threads, but it would not go over the shaft of the tailstock. So we're going to go to the next size, which is going to be a 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead and center this like I did previously. So at this point it's just be tightening up on the vise. We don't need super precision for this. Obviously you could tell. So we're going to go to the next size drill bit. Okay, she's tightened, so here we go. I guess optimally I would have liked to have reamed this, but I have yet to start my reamer collection. I have a couple small ones. I don't have anything that would even come close to fitting this, so this drill is the closest I could get. This is not a precision job, doesn't have to be, so this drill is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and take this back to the lathe, and I'm going to bring you over there. Alright guys, so we're back at the Delta Rockwell 11, and this is the tailstock I've been working on, which I'm sure you guys have been following. And here's the hand wheel, and she goes on nicely now. I have a little wobble, but I haven't been able to get this. Well, I might be able to get this out just to try to see. There we go. It's not going to go all the way on here, but when we get it onto the full bit of the shaft, it's a good fit. There's very slight wobble. And these are the other parts that I made. So now at this point, all we're going to have to do is we're going to drill a hole for a grub screw here, because this locks on to that shaft right there. And then we're just going to have a spot for our washer and our nut. and we're going to be able to call this a day. And it looks like we'll be able to lock it in one of two positions. And that should be done. So we're gonna go ahead and drill and tap this. We're gonna bring it back to the mill. We're gonna drill tap this for a grub screw, and then that should be it. And again, we're waiting for our broaching tool so we can broach these two parts out here. Alright guys, we're going to bring you back to the mill in a minute. Alright guys, so we're back at the mill. It ends up where I need to drill a 5/16 grub screw. It's the grub screw itself is 5/16 18 threads per inch. So I figured out which drill sizes I need. I'm gonna start out with a small one, or a smaller drill. I've kind of just eyeballed it. It's not spectacularly critical. I went ahead and I locked the X and the Y. So here we go. We're gonna just make our pilot hole. Sorry for that. Now we're going to go to our final size. And once again, I'm not using oil because this is cast iron. It's kind of almost self-lubricating as far as I know. Here we go. And we're through. Get my tap. Just gonna pause you while I find my handle. Okay, so we got our tap all set up. I haven't started tapping it yet. I did find a little center. I'm gonna try to bring that down and get that in the tapping hole, just so my tap is straight. I'm sorry about my arm. I'm gonna keep a little pressure on there, just so I can get that tap started. I'm talking about cast iron here, but For the tap, I'm going to use a little oil. Don't need to break a tap now at this point. Now we have it started straight, so we won't need this anymore. Get that out of the way. Gonna go grab a little bit more oil. Okay. Okay, we're through. Okay, let me get the grub screw and see if it fits. Here we go, guys. And there she goes. Okay, we're going to just clean those threads out a little bit, but we're golden. Alright, I'm going to bring you back when we get to the lathe and install everything. Do a dry fit. Okay guys, we're back at the lathe working on tailstock. I really do want to apologize for the noise. My phone is just a little bit screwed up and we're getting some kind of humming, buzzing noise. Now mind you, I still have to put the keyway in here. But there you go. I know it's not gonna stay until I get the nut on the back and the keyway in. It's gonna keep riding itself out, but okay. Let me grab a nut and get that on there. Just gonna go ahead and steal the nut off of this other tailstock I have here, just for the moment. I bought a package of 10, so I know I have it around somewhere. But there you go. Oh, still we're sliding out. Don't know why. Okay, I think I'll just slide that further up the shaft and tighten that nut a little bit more. Let's just see where this, how actually far this goes. Guys, I'm about 1,000 today. Bear with me. There we go. So this, we have to get this guy all the way up, that far up, apparently. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. Well, there you go. It's working fine now. I guess I'm just gonna have to mess with it a little bit because I need to get that on this flat here. I might have to make a little bushing here. This hand wheel is a little bit different than the factory hand wheel. I could not find the factory hand wheel, so I might just go ahead and make a little bushing because that looks like it's right on the money. That's what I'm going to do. I'll make a bushing that size and we're going to call it a day. Maybe I'll try to make it the same diameter as the outer part, and the minor diameter will be the size of the shaft, and that should work. Alright guys, let me go ahead and figure that out, and I'm going to bring you guys back again. Thank you. Hey guys, so we're back at the bench. Just finishing up on the Rockwell Delta 11-inch tailstock. So let's see. We picked up this tailstock in summary. It was filthy. It was full of crud. I cleaned it all up. Purple powered it. Wire brushed it. Wiped down with thinners. Got it all prepped for paint. Painted the whole thing. If you remember, I have the Delta Rockwell 11-inch green lathe, and when I purchased it, it was missing these parts for the tailstock here. So this tailstock, in fact, was complete when I bought it. Using this tailstock and using the tailstock from my smaller, or my shorter bed Delta Rockwell 11, I was able to go ahead and figure out, take the dimensions and use this stuff as templates to make the parts that were missing. So that being said, this part was missing. This is actually like a micrometer type wheel. It's got a keyway. At first I thought that I would keep that for my green lathe, and I've come to the conclusion that I'd rather keep the part that I made. So I went ahead and cut this and made it. There's a piece of spring steel that should go in here to keep it from turning unless you want to turn it. I did put the keyway in it. I purchased a broaching set. As you can see here, I broached it. I enjoyed that process. I wanted to get some videos of the broaching process, but my arbor press is this Jet number 0. It's not mounted to the steel surface. I almost knocked the camera over twice because I'm trying to hold the arbor press with one hand, pull the lever with the other, keep everything stable. So I decided that I'm going to just scrap that part of the video because it really came out poorly. That being said, the only thing I could not find was I could not find a Delta Rockwell hand wheel. So I'm going to keep this hand wheel from my green lathe. I found another hand wheel. It's a little bit smaller. It's a 4-inch rather than a 5-inch. It's a little different as far as the shoulder. The shoulder is not as wide on the replacement as on this wheel, so I had to make a bushing. So I went ahead and cut the key for that. So just to go and finally assemble this. Okay. The key fell out. That's okay. We'll put that back in. So we're going to go ahead and assemble this. Of course, when I want to assemble it on camera, it won't. I'll have you know I dry fitted this yesterday with no problems whatsoever. There you go. If I was just to go ahead and put that on, you see I have this here shoulder. So I made this bushing for the shoulder just so everything lines up properly. We'll get that on. And that works out perfectly for this, which should fit right in there. I just have to keep turning this out. And we'll go ahead and tighten up this hex screw here. Okay, and then we have the 1/2-inch nut, fine threaded nut. Let me go grab a wrench. Okay, so aside from that, this job is complete. Just going to give it a little bit of lube, and we should be good to go. And there you have it. Everything else works. I think it was a successful job. So my intention is to put this piece on eBay. I have too many lathe parts. I'm trying to start to clean house a little bit. So this is the first part of my Delta Rockwell 11-inch lathe that's going to go on there, and we're going to move on from here to the next project. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I continually trying to improve my video taking abilities. I'm hoping, I've been saying this for a while, but I hope to get a new camera soon. I finally found the camera I liked. I was just going to get a little camcorder. I still might, but I'm kind of leaning toward a DSLR with a flip screen so I can kind of see what's going on and try to make it kind of pro. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I hope you'll like this one and subscribe. Okay. Have a great day, and go have fun in your shop.